Thanks, May.
Well, first of all, welcome to everyone. It's wonderful to have you all here today, and we're really excited about what we're going to present to you. I do apologise, like Tony, for running a few minutes late. It wouldn't be a Zoom meeting without a few technical hitches, and we're all quite familiar with them now, but please bear with us as we try and sort them out. We want to give you the best meeting experience we can, so everything is very clear. If you have questions along the way, I'd ask that you just type them into the chat, and we'll have a look at that throughout the meeting. And towards the end, either Paula or myself will answer the questions. They may have already been answered by the time we get to that point. But please feel free to ask any questions that occur to you as we go through. I'm actually going to start sharing my screen. So, oh my goodness, now I'm having trouble. I'm just going to go back into the meeting and share my screen with that button. Here we go. So, all right, I'm having the problem now, so I'm just going to keep going with what I've got. We've launched the new Teaching Diploma syllabus in the last few weeks, and obviously most of you have already heard about that to register for this. And it's quite a new syllabus. There's nothing that you've seen before is quite like this, so we really need to explain it to you and show you the potential. Studio teaching is a unique skill, and I was thinking about this morning. I work at a school of 1,400 kids. 700 of them do piano lessons once a week. So we've got a 50% hit rate, well, not piano lessons, music classes in some form or another. We have 24 music specialist teachers on staff, which is quite a lot. And they come from a variety of different backgrounds. A lot of them have come from performance backgrounds. Some of them have come through music colleges and schools. And we all bring something a little bit different to what we do. One of the things that I find interesting is we've got a wonderful classroom teacher who has an afternoon of saxophone lessons that he teaches. And he always comes out and says the same thing. He says, I don't know how you guys do that day after day after day, teaching all these students, one in, one out. How do you keep it going? How do you keep the energy? And that's one of our particular unique challenges. We often become part of a student's life for many years, and that's something that we do have to take into consideration when we're teaching, because we don't just get to say goodbye to them at the end of the year and move on. We've got to actually see what's going to happen with them next year. We've got to plan for the future with them. So that's something that the average classroom teacher doesn't really have to do. Because it's one-on-one, we often get quite close to them. They feel like very familiar people, and we are often very significant people in their lives too, which is another aspect of studio teaching. We always need to have those new skills and ideas to impart. And we need to rise to the challenge of each student. Because we're working one-on-one, each student is going to present a complete unique set of challenges for us. And we've got to not only have the right repertoire and technique to bring them to the next level, we've got to look at the whole person, how we teach them. Another important one, we need to be able to run our own business. I started off teaching music when I was 16, and from a business sense, I probably made every mistake under the sun. And it would be so nice to not have to do that. It would be so nice to actually have a lot of knowledge about how to run a business, how to run a successful teaching business before you start. And we need to be creative. We are creative souls as musicians, but we also need to be really organized. Now, moving to our course, we've got 3 levels, and Paula's going to go into this in great detail, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. We have a teaching certificate, the Associate Teaching Diploma, and the Licentiate Teaching Diploma. Each one goes into a little bit more depth and a little bit more self-reflection about what it is to be a music teacher and to be a great studio teacher. Each one is looking at different skills, not just different levels, but actually different skills and different interpretations of those skills. the syllabus is designed for you. It's not designed for some, random situation. It's designed for your situation in your studio. It's support for your journey as a teacher. We don't want you to give examples that don't have any basis in fact. When you're writing about teaching, we want you to be using examples that you've come across, either in your own teaching or in your own learning. There's absolutely no point to talking about something that doesn't really exist for you. There's a section in the VCE, the Year 12 Victorian Music Certificate, and it's called the Technical SAC assessment task. And what it is it's taking bits out of your music and discussing the problem you have and coming up with solutions. And the kids that do well in that are the ones that actually have the problem, and they've been there, they've been unable to play something, they've worked out a solution with their teacher, they've come up with exercises, strategies to solve that. They're the ones that get the top scores on those assignments because it is a real, genuine experience. All delivery of this course is digital, and that is quite different from any other studio teaching course that I can see. Each level has a Viva Voce section, but obviously that can be scheduled at a mutually convenient time. Several modules give you options for written or video submissions. So Paula is again going to go into that a little bit more. And I think this one for me is a winner. Each module is clearly described with defined learning outcomes, word counts, and mark weighting. You know exactly what you're going to do. You know exactly what we're looking for because it's all described in the syllabus. And the last one is the course can be self-directed. You can do it on your own. You can do it with a mentor, or you can use the supportive course that Paula has written. And I know she's going to talk a little bit more about that. Now, I'd like to introduce Paula. She's a pianist, she's an educator, and she's been our syllabus consultant for this process. She's a respected Australian pianist, pedagogue, and music education consultant. She's had a career spanning over 4 decades. She holds the LGSM in piano, Guildhall School of Music, a master's degree in piano pedagogy, and an ANZCA fellowship for her contribution to music education. Paula is a leading voice in piano and music pedagogy, known for her innovative, student-centered approach and deep engagement with movement-based methodologies. Paula is the author of this teaching diploma syllabus and serves as a specialist consultant to the board. She's also founder of the Music Diploma Hub, an online platform supporting ANZCA diploma candidates through structured study programs, mentoring, and resources. A passionate advocate for joyful, embodied music learning, Paula continues to perform, present workshops, and mentor teachers across all levels, inspiring the next generation of music educators and performers, both in Australia and internationally. Paula, we feel very, very honoured to have you here today, and we hope that you enjoy being with us at this webinar. And now over to you. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, May. Thank you for a lovely introduction. And hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so pleased that everyone could join us today as we introduce these exciting new teaching qualifications. As May stated earlier, we're having technical issues both of us sharing our PowerPoints. So I'm going to call on Jo, who is going to run my PowerPoint for me. I'm sorry, it's probably not going to be quite as slick as I was hoping, but we just make the best of it. So Jo, if you could bring up my first slide, and I will talk into each one and we'll see how we go. Wonderful. So this webinar is going to introduce the updated ANZCA Teaching Syllabus and explain some of the key changes that have shaped its development. I'll also be sharing some details of the support course I've created through the Music Diploma Hub, which is a programme designed to assist candidates working through these new qualifications. So on to our next slide, and before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the remarkable foresight and commitment of the ANZCA Examinations Board. You know, these new qualifications represent a bold and very progressive step forward in supporting music educators across Australia and beyond. And it's really thanks to the board's vision that we now have an accessible and meaningful pathway which is tailored specifically for instrumental teachers. For me, a heartfelt thank you to May Gavin, who's chair of the board, and the entire ANZCA board for their ongoing encouragement and leadership. I'd also like to express sincere thanks to Tony Beatros, who's the general manager, whose guidance and support throughout this process has been really invaluable. Also a mention to Andrew Craggs, who did the final proofreading and made some really valuable suggestions. It has been an absolute privilege working alongside such a dedicated and forward-thinking team. So thank you. So on to our next slide. And before we get into the syllabus itself, I'd like to start by asking a question. And it was something that I asked myself when I was asked to write this, why? Why have we written a new syllabus? Is there a reason? Well, over the past decade, there has been a noticeable decline in formal training for instrumental teachers. In Australia, universities have largely phased out studio pedagogy courses. Now, at the same time, we're seeing an overwhelming trend among students working through music exam systems, and most pursue performance diplomas, while far fewer consider teaching diplomas. Well, clearly this leaves us with a growing number of performers who know how to play very well, but who may not have been taught how to teach. And that's the issue because, as we all know, performing and teaching are not the same skill set. Being able to execute a difficult piece doesn't automatically equip someone to for example, to guide a young student through foundational technique or musical understanding or practice habits. So it raises a fair question. For the many students who complete a performance diploma and then go on to teach, wouldn't a teaching qualification have been the more relevant and useful choice in the first place? So I'm not trying to be provocative, just realistic, because I'd really love to see teacher training become more commonplace and better valued within our profession. And for that to happen, we need a syllabus that speaks to the real world needs of teachers and students today. One that's clear, that's practical, and one that's aligned to how music is really taught in contemporary studios and schools. So, on to the next slide, and really this is where ANZCA stepped in. When the board invited me to develop a new teaching syllabus, they were very clear about their intentions. They wanted a curriculum that was practical, accessible, and very clearly structured. A framework that was achievable and meaningful and inspiring. And a qualification that didn't just assess, but clearly supported the development of reflective, confident music educators. And out of that collaboration came a syllabus that I believe genuinely reflects the demands and opportunities of music teaching today. It is contemporary, it is relevant, and I think it's designed to empower teachers, not to just pass an exam and get a qualification, but actually to build lasting adaptable skills. So, moving on to our accessibility and flexibility. May has already touched on the entire examination process is now available online. And this is a major shift. It means that teachers from all regions, including international candidates, can now take part with it without needing to travel or meet fixed deadlines. By removing those logistical obstacles, we've made the pathway more flexible. Candidates can now submit their assessments in a fully digital format, written assignments as PDFs, practical demonstrations as video submissions, and viva voces on Zoom, meaning they can progress through the various components in the order that works best for them. This shift to digital submission isn't just a convenience, it's a recognition that modern teachers are busy, diverse, and deserve a structure that fits around real life. These changes also reflect a deeper shift in philosophy, the recognition that great teaching isn't defined by how well someone writes under pressure in a formal exam room. Instead, it's about how they think, how they reflect, how they adapt and connect with their students. So, who's it for? Well, these qualifications were written with a wide range of teachers in mind. Private studio teachers who want formal recognition of their skills, musicians who've completed performance diplomas but have had little or no formal teacher training, returning educators who want to update and expand their professional knowledge, and also our beginning teachers looking for guidance, structure and support. And international candidates, since the qualifications are now fully online and accessible worldwide. So whether you're a piano teacher in a rural setting, or a violin teacher working across multiple schools, or a multi-instrumental tutor building your business, this syllabus was written for you. So what is our vision? Well, with this new format, we hope to attract passionate, thoughtful educators who are eager not only to qualify, but to grow. The qualification is a step forward in creating a supportive professional standard for instrumental teachers, one that values reflection, pedagogy, and musical understanding just as much as performance skill. So let's go on and take a look at the qualification pathway and the structure of the new ANZCA Teaching Syllabus. This is our next slide. If you've had a look at the syllabus and are already acquainted with it, you'll know that there are 3 levels of teaching. We have the Teaching Certificate, the Associate Teaching Diploma, and the Licentiate Teaching Diploma. And one of my greatest hopes in writing this syllabus was that it would feel relevant, not just as an assessment tool, but as a meaningful guide for candidates to become more informed and reflective music educators. Just as importantly, I wanted it to be engaging. This meant creating assignments that are not only practical and thought-provoking, but that can also be prepared and uploaded in written and/or video formats. And I received an email last week from a prospective candidate who said they were unsure whether to enter the Associate or the Licentiate Diploma because, and I quote, "they both look very interesting." That absolutely made my day, because I truly believe that with ANZCA we've created a teaching syllabus unlike anything else currently available. It's a syllabus that's innovative, it is challenging, and it's highly relevant. And it's a qualification I hope will become synonymous with excellence, with creativity, and with leadership in music education. So I'd like to briefly walk you through the 3 teaching qualifications that ANZCA now offers. I'm going to keep it short, but if you have any questions as we go, do please pop them into the chat, and we will do our best to answer them either at the end of the presentation or shortly afterwards. So let's look at the T.Cert.A overview. The focus here on our entry-level qualification is on foundational pedagogy. It covers introductory grade to grade 1 level, understanding what to teach and how to teach it at the very beginning of a student's musical journey. So this one is ideal for instrumental or vocal teachers who are already teaching but don't have formal training, performers who are moving into teaching, and early career educators looking for a clear and structured way to build their teaching skills. Now on the next slide, we're going to look at the T.Cert.A assignments, and we have things like creative teaching approaches for early grade students. We cover music education philosophies such as K.D.A, Orff and Dalcroze. Candidates are encouraged to look at awareness of musical genres and how to choose appropriate repertoire. We look at foundational technique on the candidate's chosen instrument. And this is something that's very often overlooked in studio settings. And there's always an independent research in Module 4 into topics of interest to the candidate to deepen insight and understanding. Okay, hopping on to the A.T.Dip.A. And this is the intermediate level qualification. It's suited to teachers with some experience who want to deepen their expertise. It builds on the foundational skills developed in the teaching certificate while providing a very comprehensive platform for candidates to develop deeper insight into teaching methods, student learning, and curriculum planning up to grade 5 level. Looking at the assignments in the Associate Diploma, which is our next slide, these things include the submission of beginner lesson plans with a reflective commentary. There will be a video of the candidate teaching. The curation of appropriate repertoire selection at the intermediate level, along with the ability to identify and resolve musical challenges in those works. And Module 4, again, as all 3 qualifications, is an opportunity to research topics of interest to the candidate. On to the Licentiate, the L.T.Dip.A overview, and this is ANZCA's highest level teaching qualification. It's designed for experienced educators, teachers seeking formal recognition at an advanced level, and musicians interested in leadership or training other teachers or contributing to professional development. It involves independent study, advanced critical reflection, and a demonstration of sustained high-level teaching practice, and focuses on grades 6 to 8 level. In the assignments, candidates undertake reflective essays and research-based writing. They demonstrate a deep understanding of the ANZCA exam process and its requirements, and show an ability to plan curriculum and teach repertoire at the advanced level. I love this part of it. Candidates will curate lesser-known works at the grade 6 to 8 level and perform and discuss these. Unit 4 focuses on contemporary trends, demonstrating an understanding of the impact of contemporary music educators and resources that impact on instrumental teaching. So I'd like to pause here as we go to the next slide and say something important, especially if you're wondering where to begin or which qualification might be the right starting point for you. When I wrote this syllabus, I didn't see it as 3 completely separate qualifications with 4 modules in each. Instead, I envisioned it as a developmental journey, a timeline of growth and discovery that reflects how most teachers gradually build and deepen their skills over time. The modules are grouped into 4 per qualification, but I wrote the 12 modules as a continuous sequence of learning. And my hope is that many candidates, regardless of their experience, will begin with Module 1, the first module of the teaching certificate, and progress right through to the final module in the Licentiate Diploma. That full journey may take several years for some, but I believe it has the potential to be deeply worthwhile and transformative. Of course, each qualification stands on its own and each model is complete in what it offers. But I want to encourage you to think beyond the idea of simply gaining a qualification, as this is not the primary purpose of this syllabus. Instead, consider this as an opportunity to engage in a structured, ongoing professional development pathway, one that grows with you as your teaching evolves. So as you read through the syllabus, I encourage you to reflect carefully on where you are now and where you'd like to grow next. Joe, you might just like to click a little bit more on that slide. There's 3 little clicks that just bring up an overview of what we're talking about. So don't just use this as a starting point based on the title of the qualification. Choose it based on what will challenge you, what will inspire you, and what will support your development as a teacher, no matter your current level of experience. So to summarize on the next slide, these new qualifications are about recognizing the value of teaching as a professional discipline. They offer an achievable modern pathway that encourages excellence in music education, while also supporting teachers as real people with diverse backgrounds, schedules and goals. This is your opportunity to gain a recognized teaching credential, deepen your practice and feel confident in your role as an educator, no matter where you're starting from. So, just briefly now, just going on, now that we've explored the new ANZCA teaching qualifications and the thinking behind the updated syllabus, I'd like to introduce you to the Music Diploma Hub. This is an online learning platform that I've created to support candidates undertaking these qualifications. So, why the Music Diploma Hub? Well, over the years, I've worked with a number of teachers preparing for teaching diplomas, and I know just how overwhelming the process can feel, especially without a clear roadmap or a mentor to guide you. So that's exactly why the Music Diploma Hub was developed, to provide a structured, step-by-step program that makes the journey achievable, engaging, and fully aligned with the ANZCA syllabus. So whether you're preparing for the T.Cert.A, the A.T.Dip.A, or the L.T.Dip.A, the Hub offers a comprehensive range of tools and support to help you move through each part of the exam process with clarity. On to the next slide. And that said, there's absolutely no pressure to join. Candidates are very welcome to choose a self-study path, work with their own teacher or mentor, or to register for the Music Diploma Hub, or perhaps a combination of any of the above that suits. I do recommend working with a mentor, particularly for the performance components of this syllabus, where one-on-one practical guidance can be incredibly useful. And you may also find that observing lessons can be very valuable. Again, all possible with an experienced mentor involving in your journey. The Music Diploma Hub is here as a resource if you'd like the extra structure, the guidance and curated materials to support your study. It's flexible, it's accessible, and ready to walk with you through your diploma journey if and when you choose. So what's included in the Hub? Well, the program is fully online and it's self-paced. So you can start at any time and work through the material when it suits your schedule. Inside the Hub, you'll find things like study materials and assignment guides, video demonstrations and teaching examples. There are links to articles, teaching resources and research materials, study planners, guides to referencing and academic writing. There's a helpful walkthrough and suggestions tailored to each module. There are templates and documents to assist in your preparation and much more. Now, I'm going to ask Joe to click on the next slide, which will take us into a video. We should have some sound there. You might have to click on it again to start it, perhaps, Joe. That's okay. Run it through without sound, and I'll just talk into what we're looking at. So this is the beginning. It will be your I can't remember the name of it. Taking me all a bit by surprise this today. When you start the study guide, this is the first page you'll have. You can see there are 30 lessons in this particular study guide. Is that sound coming up? No. We don't see it there. Is it? Yeah, seems to be we're moving through the. Okay. So this is a video. So I'll just here you can see on the left-hand side the lessons. There's course preparation. We have some approaches, philosophies and approaches to music education. We go to the seminal approaches, and here the lessons that teach into the particular units of study. I think in a moment we come back up and you can see some of the headings here with the lessons. When we come to seminal approaches, Dalcroze's Orphan Could I really enjoyed preparing the seminal approaches because as a philosophy-based teacher myself, a Dalcroze exponent, it's something that's quite close to my heart. I think we're going to take a look and click on this video on the ORF. Here we go. I'm just waiting for here we go, on my video. Good. I take you into the ORF lesson, and you just get a little bit of an idea what one of the lessons looks like. We have some various assignments and tasks and little bonus fun tasks, some suggestions, and basically an introduction into ORF with some of my own videos as well, and reading lists for that particular module of study. All right, I think we get a bit of an idea there, so we might click off that and go to the next slide. Thanks, Joe. So while the course is self-paced, you won't be alone. If you'd like some personalised guidance, you can book one-on-one Zoom mentoring sessions with myself or an experienced ANZCA consultant. You also have the option to upload assignments for written feedback, so you know you're on the right track before submitting your assignments for your exam. But when you join the Music Diploma Hub, you're also invited to connect with other candidates via our closed Facebook group, where you can share ideas, ask questions, and support one another. So the Music Diploma Hub will go live at the end of July. And if you'd like more information, please register at the landing page and we will keep you updated. That's www.themusicdiplomahub.com. So the next slide, where to start, where to go from here? Well, view the syllabus on the ANZCA website, choose the right level for you, choose a study path, whether you want to self-study, get a mentor, or the Music Diploma course, and set your timeline. Complete it at your own pace. So finally, more than anything, the ANZCA syllabus and the study program behind it is about empowering teachers. It's about recognizing that you already have valuable experience and giving you the tools, the guidance and confidence to shape that into a recognized qualification. We're very excited to be with you on that journey. And there's one final click, which really shows, looks a bit like the Toyota ad, doesn't it? But oh, wonderful feeling. And I know we're all excited at ANZCA to be with you on your journey, should you choose to join us. Thank you. And thank you, Joe, for keeping all those going with a few little hitches along the way, glitches along the way.
No worries, Paula. That was me actually. I don't know whether you can hear me or not.
Oh, thank you, May.
Okay, so I'm having a look down the side of the screen there, and we do have a lot of questions. Thank you, Paula. That was amazing. I thought I knew the course pretty well because I've been reading it and rereading it and rereading it as every draft came through. But there's some things that you spoke about there that you know, made me sit up and take notice again. And I just want to reiterate again that, look, I'll just use myself as an example. I did the old T.Cert.A course about 1 million years ago under May Clifford, and it was a great course. But in the end, they decided it was just way too unwieldy and just too much stuff in it, and they ended up dividing it into 2. And now I believe they've gone into 3 separate diplomas, because it was just too much stuff and you felt as though your head was just so full of all this knowledge. You didn't even really know what to pull out and use as a teacher. It was almost too much to absorb in one fell swoop. And of course, you had to have it all ready, everything that they were teaching you, which is, you know, similar to a similar amount of work to what Paul has discussed. You had to have that all ready for one exam at the end of the second year, and you didn't know what they were going to ask you. It was quite terrifying. And I don't know whether that brings forth your best work as a student of teaching, to be honest. And I think this is a much gentler way, and also it's going to be relevant to the lived experience in the studio. All right, I'm going to tackle a few of these questions, and a few of them I'm going to handball over to Paula. I might even handball a couple Tony's way. Now, just going back to the questions at the top, Kerry asks, with the old diplomas, it was possible to send the folio in before final submission. So as Paul has spoken about, yes, we're here for you. There will be a small fee, and that is literally, we've decided to just cover costs of the examiner's time for that, because of course it's not free. to ask someone to spend half an hour or an hour marking something. So we do have to make sure that examiners' time is covered. Otherwise, it becomes more expensive for us to run this than not. But as long as you understand that there's a small fee involved, that's fine. You can actually have feedback. Think of it as some tutoring on your submissions. Next question is, how long is recommended for each module? Well, I'm going to have a crack at answering this, and Paula can jump in and disagree. But I think it says, how long is a piece of string? We have set a limit, I think, from memory, it's 5 years. Is that right, Tony? On each diploma, once you've started it, once you've put your first submission in, we want to see that fourth submission in 5 years. Personally, I think that would be a bit too much time. I would probably aim for maybe 2 years for the whole thing, but I think if you were really doing nothing else and you were dead keen on getting this done, you could probably do it in 6 months. So it really depends on the amount of time you have to spend on it. But apart from that 5-year limit, we haven't set any limits on it at all. Kerry asks, will there just be pass or unsuccessful, or will there also be an honours pass as there was with the old diploma? Absolutely. Of course, we'll acknowledge outstanding work. That's what ANZCA is all about. So yes, there will be an honours pass with this. And a couple of people have asked whether the A.T.Dip.A modules or the modules of the different exams be presented out of sequence. My feeling is that you will do better if you don't. They're not sequential modules, but what you learn in module 1 will set you up for the next module. Paula, can I handball that one to you? That's just my own observation from the course, but I think I'd love you to weigh in on that.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. It is quite sequential, really. I think I mentioned in my presentation that, I do see them as 12 modules of work, really, that start right back from the T.Cert.A module 1 right up to module 4 of the Licentiate. So I suppose, if somebody would like to get started on some of the module 4 units of study, which are examining areas that interest you, you could probably be playing around with those. But I'd really suggest 1, 2, and 3 are done in order.
Thank you. That I think rather than see it as a linear kind of thing, see it as like a mutual support structure, almost like a basket or a tripod or something of that nature, where you have to have supports in place to put the next thing on. And it's not us being mean in suggesting that. It's really just for your own benefit. If you've done modules 1 to 3, you're going to find a lot easier to do module 4, even though it's not the same work. There's a lot in it that's going to support it. Now, Catherine asks, if you have a diploma of music, uni, and a grade 5 theory, which one can you do? I think, well, you would probably have the prerequisites to do anything, because, as you know, ANZCA is very sensible about the whole prerequisite area. We want you to have prerequisites, not because we need you to be sitting our exams and making us lots of money. We need you to have the prerequisites so that we're convinced that you have the wherewithal to do the course. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling. For instance, somebody who's got maybe grade 5 piano and grade 2 theory is going to really struggle, because they just wouldn't have the depth to be able to do the A.T.Dip.A. I think grade 5 theory, you're actually a bit overqualified to do any of the levels. It's only grade 4 is required, and grade 8 practical is the requirement we have. And before you ask, because I know someone's going to ask this, the practical can be either a performance or a comprehensive exam. The reason for that, we're not giving you soft options. Paula covers all the ancillary material that you would cover in an exam. She covers that very, very thoroughly. So you're not going to be able to skip it. If you haven't done it as a student, you're going to have to learn how to teach it anyway. Of course, having said that, the more work you've done, the more experiences you've had as a student, it's going to stand you in good stead as a teacher, because you actually understand the difficulty that students might have. And this is another thing I would suggest in prerequisites. If you've never done a comprehensive exam, go to a teacher and get them to fire some oral tests at you and some sight reading and some general knowledge, so you know what it feels like from the other side. You know, I think one of the best things you can do as a teacher is to actually go and learn something that challenges you, and then you realize how hard a skill it is that you're actually trying to impart. We're all kind of used to it because a lot of us started when we were, 3 years old, 5 years old. We've been doing it all our lives, and we don't actually realize how amazing it is to be able to play an instrument and understand music. It's quite incredible. So hopefully that answers that question. Catherine, you're probably really overqualified in terms of prerequisites, and you could do either A.T.Dip.A or L.T.Dip.A. Catherine asks if there is a cost for the Music Hub membership. Over to Paula on that one. I would imagine so.
Yes, it's a fairly expensive thing setting up a course like this, as I found out, and hundreds of hours to write it. So yes, there will be a cost. At the moment, I'm looking at about $250 to $300 per module. I'm not quite sure yet whether I'll be able to deliver it with individual modules. That's a technical issue that I'm working on. It may be that it's about subscribing to all four, and I guess there would be a 12-month subscription. But yeah, all of that's going to become more evident by the end of July. So I'll keep everybody up to date on the costings of that. Yeah, I'm looking at about $2.99 per module, but with probably a free module thrown in if you do all four, something of that sort. I've asked dozens of people in the profession what they think. Nobody at ANZCA, by the way, but what they think would be a reasonable cost for something like this. And it's become back absolutely unanimous with everybody saying they would think about the $300 mark for each module. And also quite a few have pointed out that this is professional development. It's, and we're all teaching, we're all in, it's a profession for us. So to me, it doesn't seem unreasonable
No, it doesn't. And I think if you weigh it up against, having lessons with a private mentor, then it seems quite reasonable to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got 5 or 6 teaching students at the moment, teaching diploma students, and they have an hour and a half a week. So in, about 2 weeks of lessons, everyone is getting everything that they need to know in that unit of study, whereas it's taking 2 or 3 terms of lessons for my students. I did say as well previously that I do think even if you're going onto the Music Hub, which I'd really encourage you to do, because if you could see my setup here, I've got numerous screens, I've got whiteboards, I have got paper all over tables this side. As I'm putting it all together, I am doing all of these assignments. I'm taking them down into little tiny pieces. And very often as I dissect the assignments, I realize that there's a little bit of information there that people might not know. So I'm throwing another lesson in. I mean, does everybody understand what learning objectives are, what teaching approaches are? Does everyone understand what assessment tasks is? All these sorts of things. So it's getting bigger and bigger as I go along. And I'm beginning to realize that to do what might seem a very simple assignment, in actually doing it myself and helping my student teachers do it, it does take a long time. And you might think it wouldn't take very long to write 3 lesson plans for a beginner student, because we've all done it so many times. It's actually really quite an in-depth assignment to do. Yeah, so hopefully we've answered the question there on what the hub is and its value.
Thank you, Paula. I think that's very fair. And I was actually thinking more along the lines of compare it to the cost of doing a course at a university. I've got 3 kids going through university at the moment, and my retirement plan is getting further and further pushed back. I'm probably going to retire at about 110 at this point. So I've had another question about the prerequisites. As I said, grade 4 theory, grade 8 practical, and I think from memory, grade 3 theory and grade 6 practical for the teaching certificate. How is it marked? Is it pass fail? Yes, pass fail plus honours. What will be examined in the Viva Voce? Okay, Denise, that's a really good question. If you go to, I think it's module 3 in each exam from memory. I haven't got that up on my screen.
Module 2 in the teaching and module 3 in the AT, I think, May.
Yes, and the same in L.
There's not a Viva Voce in the Licentiate.
Okay, thank you. So yes, it's all described in great detail what the Viva Voce exam is going to entail. And this is one of the things that I was kind of jumping up and down a bit about. I've examined the TMUS quite a few times, the old diploma, and the problem with the practical exam is no one had a clue what to expect. In my mind, the practical exam was something quite different from what it was in the mind of the teachers presenting students. And that's no one's fault particularly. It was just really, really vague. And Paula has taken all the vagueness out of it and made it very clear and practical and definitive. So you might have slightly different interpretations of how you approach the material, and that's great because we are individual teachers and we have our own unique style. We don't want to kill that. We want to encourage it. So you might have a different interpretation of how you present something, for sure. But the actual meat of the course is all described very, very fully. So I won't go into that anymore here. Catherine asked, what is the pass mark per module? And then for overall all modules. The mark weighting is given. I think we have a pass mark for each one as well. So for the A.T.Dip.A repertoire selection, other than it being a list of 28 pieces, is there any other information which needs to be included? For example, evaluation of the selection. Vesna, I would suggest you have a really good look at the syllabus because that's all really well described there. Not just the choosing of the repertoire, how you approach it, how you teach it, why you're choosing it. It's all part of the course. And yes, this is a really good one for all of us because I have been to studios to examine, say, 15 grade 3 students, and they're all playing the same 3 pieces. And I want to run screaming from the room after about 2 hours. I do not know how teachers do this for years and years and years, teach the same pieces. Let's get out there and challenge ourselves on repertoire, even if we're not doing the teaching diplomas. That's one of my drums I bang with monotonous regularity is have a look at the amazing repertoire that's being written in the world of pedagogy now. There's no excuse for playing the same pieces all the time. Yes, so once again, with a lot of these questions, once we get the course has already been published on the ANZCA website. Now, let me give a plug for ANZCA. We let you download the syllabus for nothing. Zippity zip, nada. You just go there, you find the syllabus you want, you download it for free. If you want a beautiful copy, I've got my new piano syllabus with all my pages marked. That is a small cost and a phone call to ANZCA or an email, but you can actually download it all for nothing if you wish. You can have it on your tablet and look things up on that. I strongly urge you to all have a look at the teaching diploma syllabus as it's been written by Paula.
May, when I sent out the Zoom invitations, I actually attached the 3 syllabuses to the email.
Yes,
so I hope everyone noticed that. Yeah.
So you can just go to your invitation to this meeting and click on them. And that's your bedtime reading for the next week or so, as it was mine and Tony's and Paula's. Quite a lot of
Was there bedtime? I don't remember that. I just dreamt and slept, and even when, at night, it was all we thought about, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was,
it
yeah,
was for a while.
yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Now, there's a question here from Catherine again, another really good question. Is there any credit for prior learning if you have a Masters of Education? I would say no, because the Masters of Education focuses on classroom teaching. This is a completely different animal. What you will find is that you will breeze through some sections and you will have such a deep understanding of some sections, but there's going to be others there that are going to be quite different for you. It's not an expensive exam to sit. I'm not going to go into the exact costs because that's all on the website and I can't be bothered looking it up while I'm talking to you, but you can just go onto ANZCA and you can have a look and see that it's a very reasonable course. And I would say do the course for your own benefit. As Paula said, this is about the journey, not necessarily the end point. For the A.T.Dip.A, how long after the performance is the Viva Voce? Once again, I think that's the same answer, as long as a piece of string. It's a separate exam, is it not, Paula? Yep. So you can decide to wait 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years.
Yes, I think it's just negotiable with ANZCA once the prior modules of work have been submitted, then the Viva Voce can be booked in. But I'd suggest you don't leave it too long, and I'm sure ANZCA won't leave it too long. Whilst it's fresh and clear in your mind to talk about that module of work.
Vesna's put this question about the 7 versus 21 pieces. So I'm going to hand all this to you, Paula. She's saying that we have to choose 28 pieces and perform and analyze just 7. Does she need to justify why she's choosing the others even though she's not performing them?
Yes. Well, you do. If you always look at the criteria. The criteria come under candidates should demonstrate. Those are the criteria for every single unit. So before you even start a unit, have a look at the criteria. The ability to present a variety of works at each level. So although you're only going to be performing 7 of them, you do have to choose 28 to begin with. This is so that we know that you can curate a balanced repertoire from lists A, B, and C of the standard grades, and also a free choice selection. So clearly those come from, well, in piano, those come from the classical and modern lists, and the 4th can be from any source. So we obviously need to be able to know how to curate that repertoire selection for our students. And I mean, sometimes I know when I ask my more advanced students to choose their own, they come back with 4 pieces that are in the same time signature, and they're all in sharps, and they're all in binary time, So that they obviously there needs to be a variety of things. If you look down there, the ability to select works of different styles and genres, the inclusion of appropriate Australian composers or music from your own cultural background. So have a look at those. They do apply to all of those 28 pieces. But then when you come to the 7 pieces, there's obviously a little bit more focus there with time signature, key, form, and tempo markings that perhaps really want to make sure you have a good selection. My students who are doing this particular unit at the moment, they've been working on it all term. And every week they come back and they say, I've got it. I've got my 28 pieces, and they're all varied, and they're all this and they're all that. And I take a look and I go, but these all come from the ANZCA book. I'm sure, you want to look out at the, not just one book, go and be a bit more creative, go and explore the manual lists. So, yeah, look, there's an open door here at ANZCA and myself for any of these sorts of queries. And if we did find that there was something that was not absolutely clear, we can make little adjustments, because this syllabus, of course, is digital. And if we find, I'm sure, Tony and May, if we find anything that's not absolutely clear as we go along, we'll send a tweak.
Yes, look, it's a very, very new qualification. There's a couple of things have come up. We've got a couple of lovely comments about the presentation. Now, Vesna's asked again, last question. Vesna, it's fine. You're here to ask questions. Don't apologise for asking them. May one of the 7 pieces for piano be from the jazz syllabus? Absolutely. Absolutely. If that's what you teach, if you're teaching that as well, fantastic. Let's have more variety. Catherine's just clarified. She was asking about the education masters, not because of cost, but because she said, because you mentioned lesson planning, writing objectives, etc., not a cost question. For example, if a module is teaching you how to write lesson objectives and you have this already, or is it only a small part of the module? I would say it's only a small part of the module. And even as part of the module, it's still focused on studio rather than classroom teaching. Of course, the principle is going to be very similar, but it's going to be tweaked in a slightly different way. So I think rather than sort of worry about getting credits for a different course, I think you'll find benefit from doing it and you will actually enjoy it as a process. Particularly if you've done a Masters of Education, you're obviously interested in the whole process of education and pedagogy, and I think this is just going to be another string to your bow. That would be my feeling. Have we got... Oh, we've got another question. Can the variety be right across the 28 pieces? Well, I think that's kind of the point. We want teachers to be exploring variety, not just for their students' sake, but for their own sake. Nothing is more deadening than doing the same thing, rinse and repeat. And we're not production line people. We are sensitive, creative musicians. So exploring the amazing variety that's out there, why would you not want to do that? It's one of the best things.
I might just comment there, May, if I might.
Yes.
I think the variety that we're talking about is variety within each grade level, choosing 4 pieces that have variety and contrast. But also, when you pull out your 7 pieces from one of each of those, make sure that those are also varied, that they're not all the same, that you're actually going to play a varied selection of pieces from different sources as well. I don't know if that answers that question, Kerry.
I think the questions seem to have trickled to a stop.
We're nearly there now. Yeah.
Yes. Look, we're here to answer as many questions as we can. We had a very interesting one yesterday, which I will mention just in case it comes up again. We had a question. A lot of the syllabus has been written with piano in mind in terms of the really the prompt questions, I suppose you could call them, for some of the modules. And there was a question about various different instruments. If you are a singer or a cellist or whatever, and you're planning on doing one of the modules, let us know. And the questions will be formatted by Paula and in consultation with instrumental specialists. But of course, we're not just going to go and, get specialist modules made up for kazoo and bagpipes and whatever else you can come up with just because they're instruments that exist. At the moment, because this is a new syllabus and, it's taking us time to create each one, we'll do it as we go. As you come up with the instrument you want to study, fine, we'll get those questions up and running. So that they're there. It's not a secret. We're not trying to make anyone wait for them or anything like that. It's just, it is a new syllabus. It hasn't been written yet, and it will be written as it's needed. So, please, if you're interested in doing the syllabus, and I think it's module 2 for teaching certificate or module 3. So we would have some warning that you're coming through, and we would make sure those questions are available to you when you need to study.
Right. Catherine asks if any of the pieces have to be played from memory. I don't believe that's a requirement.
No.
Nice. Catherine says, nice studio. I'm at work and I teach in a fishbowl. We've got windows in every wall. So it is lovely. I get to see all my colleagues every day.
Okay, well, I think that just about does us. Thank you so much, Paula and May, for
Thank you,
two
Paula.
wonderful presentations. Very informative. And we're here to help, as May keeps saying. So if there's any questions at all, please get in touch. Thank you. Thank you for attending today.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Paula. Thanks, May.